Evening, heathens and heretics of Essex!
Hooray!
We are in the abyss. That's what that says up there if you can't read it. Some of you might know who we are, some of you might not. My name, to some of you, is Steve. To others, it's Joey. To others, you probably don't know. This man here will tell you a little bit about what we do.
I like to call you
while I sit my arse
Loretta.
down. Yeah.
Hello, right, okay, so if you don't know In the Abyss, I mean, essentially, we're a heavy metal podcast. I trust we're the right crowd for that. I hope so. I mean, we're kind of a small group of grumpy old men that kind of cut our musical teeth in the 90s, but we're still very passionate about the scene, so we like to talk about it. We have like album reviews, we have guests, we have interviews. We just like to talk about metal music. Waffle and waffles. Yeah. God, man, that's my favourite. But look, a big part of the stuff that kind of inspires us and the things that we want to talk about is the live music scene, and that's the conversation that we want to have here tonight. I mean, we haven't really talked about this, but I think the conversation we're about to have was born out of a gig we went to a couple of years ago now. Album launch show, a band we really love, in a venue we really love, but it was empty. And we're talking about it, thinking, man, this venue should be filled. It's like, the band are absolutely kicking ass, and here we are in an empty venue. And I think, it got the conversation going, and we started to talk about, or be more aware of, I think, of like some of the issues that grassroots venues are facing. Just some of the challenges that they're up against in terms of getting people through the door, getting bands to play there. And if that's one end of the spectrum, at the other end of the spectrum, you've got your huge musical events, and we're seeing the rise of the kind of like the hike in ticket prices and the monopoly on the organisation of all of this. So we're looking at this thinking at both ends of the spectrum there seems to be kind of difficulty in just enjoying live music, which is something that we love. We've brought some guests with us today to open up a conversation on that, really. Steve, do you want to do some intros? Who are they?
So, immediately right here we have Mr. Gareth Kelly from Gurt and Music Venues Trust. Give it up. Honorary local by this point, he's been here often enough. And an actual local, Mr. Jasper Harmer from Beyond Extinction and Dead Species Bookie. Give it up.
So one of the points I wanted to make is so both of these handsome gentlemen here are like performers and involved in the live music scene, okay, but there's some extracurricular stuff going on which I think is really important. And as much as I've kind of opened this saying, we saw some problems and we wanted to have a bit of a gripe around like the live music scene, there's some really positive stuff happening, on so many levels, and that's the conversation that we really wanted to have, just to put a spotlight on that and to talk about how we can all contribute and just make a difference and enjoy this scene that we love so much.
Those of you that are regulars in this building will know, any of you that come to our shows especially, that we know the best, and those that have been coming here, for how long have you been open now?
3.5 years.
Yeah, so, you all know it, and you'll all know how important grassroots live music is. Without this grassroots, you don't get the stadium shows. Everyone's got to start from somewhere. So it's all about celebrating that and realising what we've got, and if we're not careful, we could lose it. So I'll hand over to this man here, because not only is he, Gurt's absolutely gorgeous, handsome front man.
The main lunatic.
Yeah, one of them. Gareth, you also work for Music Venues Trust.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and what Music Venues Trust do.
So Music Venue Trust, I've spammed you all, by the way, you'll all realise you're sat on leaflets. I'll explain what that is in a bit. But yeah, Music Venue Trust has been around, it's in its 11th year. We are a charity set up to secure promote and improve music venues, grassroots music venues. So yeah, we have been doing the securing and protecting part for quite a long time. It's been really, really hard, but I'm pleased to say that for the first year, we're actually in the bit where we can concentrate on the improving bit for several reasons, which I'll come on to mention later. But yeah, we've got 800 members, different venues all across the UK. Obviously, everyone will know there's a lot more venues than that in the UK, or grassroots, so we're always getting new venues on board. But yeah, we help them. A lot of it's like crisis stuff, so when they're at risk of closure, we'll be like helping them out and making sure they can stay open. But yeah, there's been some good stuff going on, which means that we can do a lot more than just that sort of stuff.
Yeah, what's the scale of that? Like, in terms of the flow of venues just reaching out to you for support.
Well, I in particular, I work within rights management, as we call it. It's basically fighting against PRS. So I know who PRS are?
Fuck PRS.
And PPL as well, so, royalty stuff, basically. But, so my particular area scale's pretty big. It's not great, there's a lot of unfairness within the system, a lot of big invoices, a lot of unfair treatment. We've got a big problem with generally like how grassroots music venues are charged, and that's what my job is basically. So for scale wise, yeah, it's pretty big. I get on average, I'm getting about 3 or 4 venues a week at the moment that come to us new with challenges. I'm also part of what they call the venue support team, which deal with a lot of the crisis management stuff. And we've had a pretty bad year so far. I think we've had about 11 new cases come in this week, and that's people that could be fighting against, landlord troubles. Business rates is obviously huge at the moment. That's a really big challenge. Rent increases, electricity bills, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
But look. So what is the problem? Because we can all go to, I don't know, the London Stadium and see a show for 150 quid, 200 quid, whatever it is. The prices are going up. It's getting harder and harder to achieve. But what is the problem at the grassroots level? So why are these venues struggling? What's causing it?
It's not just one thing. It's like everything building up over time. So I've got some of these around if anyone's interested, but we've had our annual report out like this month, which basically says about everything that's going on with all the venues across the UK. You'll actually see in it that events, the amount of events going on and the attendance to events is on the up. It's like increased by 10%. So you talk about, you go to a venue and there's no one in it, that does happen of course, but there is a lot more going on, and grassroots venues are doing pretty well in terms of this activity, but yeah, it's a multitude of things. I've already mentioned a load that the crisis team have to deal with. Business rates is huge. You've got a multitude of either taxes or prices going up all at once, which has not helped. You mentioned ticket prices. Ticket prices have stayed about the same within grassroots venues. The average has been the same for years. It's not really gone up.
What's the current average?
£11.56.
Bargain.
It was about it was £11.48 last year, so it's gone up barely anything, but the prices of everything has gone through the roof. A lot of kids aren't drinking at venues. I know you wouldn't know about that, Dan, but there's things like that. People aren't drinking. People, in some cases, aren't going out to as much shows. We've got a huge problem with touring. Like touring's massive. You used to get an average of about 20-30 shows on a tour, different towns and cities across the country. Now it's 11. You can guess which ones there'll be.
I'll just add to that. I was out in Europe last year with a band that was selling over 1,000 tickets a night for 3 weeks in Germany, and I could not get 2 weeks of offers for shows for them in the UK. It just didn't happen. So it's not a case of it's there, you just got to try new things. the buildings, the physical spaces don't exist, and the people that do it don't exist anymore. So it's not a case, as you're saying, of like, oh, just sort of kick it a little bit and it'll run. Like, we have to work with what we've got to then completely change, I think, the landscape of a lot of it.
Yeah, but the venues, particularly in the UK, do exist. It's just the infrastructure around it doesn't support people to be able to go there. So be it, we talk about night transport is a big one. Just being able to get enough money through the door on tickets when you've got, I don't know, I live near Leicester. Leicester's gone because everyone goes to Nottingham, Birmingham, all that sort of stuff. So there's loads of problems that are going on. But yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better.
Talk to us about the getting better, because you're doing some amazing things at the Music Venues Trust, really, to invest in the infrastructure you've just talked about, you've described.
I feel like I'm going to talk you through this whole thing the way you're going, because I could do, but yeah, it is. I don't know. Let's talk about the big one, which is the levy. The pound on a ticket. Does anyone know about the grassroots levy that's coming?
Yeah.
So what's supposed to be happening is that every single ticket that you buy for a big show, £1 from that ticket goes from them to the promoters to something called the Live Trust, which has been set up to basically collect all this money. If it's under 5,000 cap, it goes straight to us. It goes to MVT. But that is massive. It's huge.
And just to be clear, this is something that hasn't been happening until recently.
Last year it started, and it hasn't properly kicked off yet. So at the moment it's at voluntary level. So promoters and the music industry are supposed to come together to make it happen. Most people are making it happen. There's one notable exception.
Fuck Live Nation.
We probably didn't have to say that out loud, but it is them.
Fuck Live Nation.
And that's the thing. At the moment, it's a voluntary levy. If everyone doesn't sign up to it and take part, the government will step in and make it statutory, which means that the £1 won't be a pound. It could be anything like 3.5% on the ticket price, which is how the grant structure is. The £1 levy, by the way, came from a trial that was done in 2023 from a band that may, or a member of the band may not be too far away. It was called the Shikari model.
Yeah.
The £1 levy. And and Shikari did it in 2023. They gave £1 for every ticket for the arena tour that they did then. But that is so far, like, even though Live Nation haven't properly invested in it, it's got a chunk of money in. So the Live Trust gave their first bit of money in this month. We got 200 grand out of a 400 grand pot that was paid out. And we're investing that into a load of projects which will make things better. I'm going to have to read this because I always forget the names. So we've got 4 of them. We've got Off the Grid, which is going to be getting solar energy onto the top of roofs of venues so that we can get electricity back into venues and it all got powers.
That ain't going to work here, is it?
That would expose. Infrastructure to trains, maybe. We've got Raise the Standard, which is like basically getting better performance facilities and getting backline into venues. We'll basically give this sort of stuff to venues through partnerships that we'll be having with people like Gear for Music, things like that. We've got Stay the Night, which is basically, again, it's basically putting accommodation into venues that have the space. So, Dan,
we're going to put bunks up
put a
there,
bunk bed up
yeah.
there, get the band staying overnight. Yeah. But again, we'll be like giving grants out to allow venues to be able to do that. That's a big problem for touring, isn't it? Like, you can't stay anywhere.
Yeah, it's grim because a lot of what you'll hear from the touring perspective from people, and rightly so, is that you enjoy what you do, and what you're doing is fun, and what you're doing is exciting, and it's better than a day job, and it was also what you do with a day job, it's not better than a day job. And the issue is that that's all very true as long as you have your basic needs as a human being fulfilled. But if you're not eating properly for X days on end, and you're not sleeping properly for X days on end, then you're not doing a show properly, and if you're not doing a show properly, people have less incentive to come, and everything plays into each other's benefits and hands. A good example is, if you're tired, you haven't slept well, you've eaten badly, all these things you shove at a venue, you're short with the staff, there's less chance for good communication going on, there's loads of stuff that gets negatively impacted by the fact that there's this kind of cool vibe about doing music, but it is very, very hard all the time. And it's really fun and it's amazing, and what a privilege to do something that's like a expressive art form in a productive and often career-making way. That said, like, I cannot keep sleeping 3 hours a night in Travelodge until I'm 50 because I will die. It's just true.
You're a long way off 50, mate. Fuck.
That's the big thing about, going back to why touring, why it's been bad for grassroots venues. Money that is invested in touring is going to Travelodge. Why is the money from gigs going to Travelodge? Like, why is
we can ask Europe, because as you say, the solutions exist. You go to Europe and like they want to have you there. There's an anticipation that hospitality towards the artist is a part of doing the show itself, because hospitality towards the patron and the audience is there. The expectation is the artist shows hospitality to the venue, and the people working there show it back to the artist. Everyone shows it to the people that pay the money. There's like a kind of mutual cycle of respect. And when you show up at a place and you're tired and shattered, and you then do have an opportunity to stay somewhere where you have people that do a little bit extra, it makes the entire experience change, and it encourages people to get into it. Like it's so hard to try and change public opinion, or at least I think divert attention towards the validity of arts as careers and stuff, if the people that do it keep looking like people that sleep 3 hours a night in travel. Because you're like, I can't have conversations about how serious it all is when every time I stop at a city on tour and I see a school friend, they're like, you look fucking ill. And they're right, because often I am. And the reason is either we spend...
That's not the drugs.
If you spend a bit of the money on your hotel and you stay somewhere that's hopefully on the way to wherever you're going. And another big part of it is you're not pre-booking. It's not like booking a holiday when you're going away. We get paid our show fees after we play our show. So if we're buying hotel rooms, someone's paying for it. There's no label. That's me. That's someone in the band. You have to do it yourself. So effectively, it's adding more life stresses towards an industry already stressed by the people that are in it.
Yeah. So I just want to come in on that and just say, just make the point that you're kind of describing an issue that affects musicians in such a way. And just to highlight that this is something that the Music Venues Trust is
it's the right way of doing it. It's exactly the right way of doing it.
Making a conscious effort to invest in these venues and provide them with an environment.
So it's about not, like, the money not paving over the, like sticky plasters over problems. It's about fixing the core root, the root cause of these things. And like we've already said, by doing these things, the limited amount of money that may be going into venues would be better spent. So, for using accommodation as an example, if you're paying like 400 quid or 200 quid because everyone sleeps on each other's laps, don't they? In all fairness. Like, you get one room and everyone goes in one room. So,
you can get 7 people angled really well on one travel on double bed. If you do the tricks right, you can do it. It's like folding a piece of paper.
Who sleeps next to the drummer though?
You have to divvy it up a little bit depending on who moans the most. But you're right, like it's
cozy.
But even still, and that's through necessity. So if you get, if you've got 100 quid show and you get paid 100 quid for a show, and that's going towards accommodation, that's fine. So the venue being able to like basically provide that, it means that the money that's coming from tickets go to better things. Hopefully paying the bands more, or reinvesting in the venues, whatever.
It also makes smaller venues more attractive to bands. So it's like they can tour, they can visit those towns and cities that they haven't been to because they can.
And because too many tours are just Manchester, London, Glasgow.
Exactly.
There's not enough Chelmsford, fucking Hitchin and all of those.
And that's the idea. If you get the better facilities in these venues that are further out, then it makes them much more of an idea to be able to go to, and thus fixing the touring problem at the same time.
That's it.
In theory.
Everyone benefits. Your favourite band comes to your town.
Can I just add as well, we had a massive bit of money from a band that I know someone's got a t-shirt of in the front. And I went to see them last year, Coldplay this is. So Coldplay donated
Trigger warning.
10%. No. But this thing, I love Coldplay now. They gave 10% of their UK tour profits to Music Venue Trust. That went directly to us, and that is what's making this happen. And I made a funny thing about I would never see a Coldplay t-shirt in real life because maybe because of comments like you just made.
Look at you. Anybody who's listened or watched our podcast will know how much I fucking hate Coldplay.
Go and watch it.
But fair play.
It was banging. It was wicked, wasn't it?
Just like to remind everyone, this is a metal podcast.
but to bring it back to point, they gave an awful lot of money to be able to help smaller venues.
Can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that.
No, you can't. No. Let's steer this back to metal a little bit because we can't talk about Coldplay.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. One of the big things is buying merch. Right, you go see a band and they're getting a small amount of money for a show. We pride ourselves on the shows that we put on here. We make sure that every band gets paid. It isn't uncommon for a band to turn up to a show not knowing whether they're going to get paid or not. We pay every single band, right? Really important to us. But we also know that that's going to cover petrol. It might cover a hotel room, whatever it is. So buying merch, anything like that is really important. And there's something I noticed that, Jasper, you did when you were last out on a tour about, the distance that these people have travelled and all this kind of thing. And we as metalheads, we hoard. We love our merch. We buy vinyl, CDs, whatever it is, patches, a fucking lighter, whatever it is. If it's got a band logo on it, we'll buy it. And I think that needs to be celebrated, doesn't it? Because we do it better than all the others. Come on.
Well, maybe only beaten by the K-pop crowd.
Fuck that. They don't need the money. That's the difference. But talk to us a little bit about what you do with the merch table.
Yeah, so basically I run shows around Essex mainly. I put shows on elsewhere in the country, but when I do it, I have a chat with the bands before and we work out how many miles it is as like a flight distance from where they live to the show they're playing. And we put out a sign at the front table of the shows and we leave it there. And a band I had on tour last year put a thing online about it and it went viral and there were like 100,000 people were sharing it and stuff, and which is really good. The annoying part was they took a fucking photo without my logo in it, so I got none of the credit. And the guy who posted it I didn't really get on with, so I messaged him saying, can you tag me, and he didn't. But the benefit of that was a big conversation got started, and what I will say to make a really like stinky point but then bring it back to a nice positive one is there was a very large amount of people that were saying, well, look, we've paid the show ticket to be there, like, stop begging for money, like, you're just trying to get extra in. People, it's expensive to be alive and do X, Y, and Z, and you're exactly right. It's very expensive to go from your house to a venue to watch music. Like, that's an expensive thing to do. It is objectively more expensive to travel 5,000 miles and then do the same thing. And the purpose is not to tell people that you're a bad person or you're not doing your bit if you don't contribute. The purpose is to make people more transparently aware of why doing these things isn't a case of bands are just trying to make more money or do extras. It like directly contributes to the function of it. I can't tell you the last tour that my band did. In the projections, all of our guarantees covered expenses and we were reliant on merch to make any money full stop. So it's a case of like 4 days from the end of the tour you go, oh guys, tonight we hit our break even, we've got 4 days of making money, and that's it. So you can be out for a week before then, busting a gut to just make a show happen, and it's all just to try and claw towards that kind of zero mark. And I think that when you're buying merchandise from bands and doing it in certain ways, the important thing isn't to feel like I do it all the time and I spend all my money on it, but it's to be aware that like every financial action we take in an ever stretch and increased fiscal landscape has more weight and importance. That if everyone had more money, every t-shirt you bought or whether you spent the money elsewhere would have less of an impact. And it's more of a case of being like, if you would like to make a difference, here is a very direct way of doing it. Also, because I'm at the merch table a lot of the time, it's very easy for me to use that as a good upselling point. And I'm going to do that because my job is to make money for whatever band I'm selling for. But ultimately, the transparency is important. Like, we're not selling t-shirts at markups because we're trying to rinse money out of fans. Like, bands are doing it because if you don't do that, eventually your band dies because you're in £1,000 of debt. That's just the fiscal reality, unfortunately.
It's the engagement piece as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go to a merch table and the band is there and you can strike up a conversation and the band says to you, yeah, we've come this far, it's tough, it's hard. You as a fan, you think, you know what, I can't afford a t-shirt, but I'll buy a patch.
Yeah.
Every little thing matters. It might not seem it at the time, but it does. And you both know this. You both in touring bands.
Yeah, there's monetization for the right reasons, and I think that bands you'll feel this like travelling t-shirt salesman a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
That you have to monetize what you're doing because ultimately that's how you make it work. I have like fundamental disagreement with things like paid meet and greets and stuff like that. I think that someone paying to meet you in a place that you're literally going to be all day because you're being paid to be there already is a little bit rich for some people.
Fuck that.
I don't really get it. I also think that it's like no one's time is more valuable than anyone's until you're on stage. That's why you're there. Like when you're knocking about getting a kebab from near the New Cross Inn, that doesn't mean that I'm worth more money than you because I'm doing a show down the road.
I've never seen Kiss do a meet and greet at a kebab shop.
Oh, mate, you're doing it wrong, mate. No shawarma, no party.
Rich from Gurt met Castle Rat in the Woody Grill in Camden.
Yeah,
Woody Grill. Big up Woody Grill.
Everyone who's ever played the Underworld or Blackheart, Woody Grill is where you get your food afterwards. That's
But they were all still in all their, like, everyone knows Castle Rat, right?
Yeah.
So they're all still in their, like, warrior garb, you know, just buying a kebab.
That means nothing in Camden.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, it's just like, oh, yeah, love it. But if they were charging 30 quid a go to meet in a kebab.
Exactly, yeah. It's a bit shit. And that's what I think is it's sort of like, it's important to have that personal connection and conversation. Like, you don't have to buy stuff. I don't feel obliged to go to a gig and spend hundreds of pounds. Just be aware that when you make decisions with your money, you can make them in ways that have massive knock-on effects with your community of music. And also from a band point of view, I've done a load of shows where it gets to the end of the night and I speak to whoever's doing merch or I check the thing on myself and I'm like, oh man, we've made way more than I thought we would do. And I cannot tell you how much more positive for my feeling that is than anything that happens the entire day before. So I'm like, oh, travel lodge, I want to get McDonald's breakfast, the whole lot. And it's not like splashing money on Lamborghinis. It's like, do I get a meal tomorrow morning sort of thing. And, you know, sometimes it's better than others. I'm not going to try and grovel and be like, oh, life's so terrible. Sometimes you do amazing shows where you rake loads in and it's just a massively validating thing. And I think that at a basic level, if we ignore the finances and go back to like a fan's point of view, it makes a big difference knowing someone's liked your band enough to then walk around telling people via their clothing that your band is sick. That means on a personal level like a lot more than I think the physical stuff does in that moment. So connect with people doing that, it makes a big difference, definitely.
The only reason Gurt have been around for 15 years is because of merch.
Yeah.
Like,
you've got one of the strongest merch games out there.
It's relentless. We've been a bit quiet recently.
Since we figure out patches
since
to us
Battle
before we
Pints
started.
came out, by the way, we've got a beer that was done by Dan, so if anyone wants a pint of Battle Pints, it's up there.
Don't drive on it though.
But yeah, you know, it's literally the only reason we exist because we do a lot of it, but it's always short runs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it tends to like churn over pretty nicely and we keep going. But that's the only reason we've been able to to keep doing it, is because that then, you know, forms a small pot that then goes into recording or goes into whatever you need to do. I find it mental that bands still turn up with no merch. Like, you see it happen, they're like, what are you doing? And they'll turn up and they'll just be like, oh, no, whatever. How do you do it?
It's usually because they haven't hit that one show that they get home from and they've like lost hundreds of pounds and someone's kicking off at them. That's normally why. I think that, and it's a really hard reality, but sometimes the only way that you realise how to make it functioning is one day you get back from a tour and you're like, I'm fronting the bill for this. Like, some of us are paying for this because that's how it works, and it's very strange to. I know that the idea of pay to play got eliminated in my mind a while ago, and it just happens. Happens by default because you go, oh, well, you don't have to pay to play, but we're going to make it so expensive to play that you have to pay back stuff that you get in debt for.
Right. And it's okay. So, I mean, what you described there is so many challenges that bands have out on the road, and kind of ways fans can feed into that and help you along the way. Let's draw the conversation back to the venues, because that's kind of like the other side of it, you know, and the struggles that, you know, venues that want to put on live music, you know, there's challenges that they experience, and again, maybe some more of these good news and good investments that the Music Venues Trust are kind of, you know, putting in place to counter what some venues are experiencing.
The Music Venues Properties element is quite a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously, I've said the levy's a massive deal. Like, that's going to be the big sort of thing this year. It's like we've literally gone from, well, basically COVID happened, and at that point it looked like, you know, a lot of grassroots music venues were going to get back on their feet.
I mean, I remember there's so many, like, you know, kind of fundraisers and GoFundMe and things like that.
Literally, but everyone knows blew everything apart. Yeah. But live music in particular was just absolutely just blown out the water. It was dead. You know, it just looks like it could be dead.
Do you remember the first gig you went to after COVID, after the lockdown?
I do, and I got COVID. It was Malevolence in Cardiff, and I got COVID.
I was at the Black Heart in Camden, and they wheeled in some church pews, and we all kind of sat on these church pews, like watching Mountain Caller. It was Mountain Caller, and it was like you had to sort of like beckon the bar staff over, and they come all masked up over. Weird time, man. Weird time to be seeing bands.
Yeah, we did a show in 229 to about 5 people. It's great.
I've done that without any COVID restrictions.
Don't get me wrong, that is normal.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't change. I think what you're saying with the COVID stuff is important too, because one of the knock-on effects of that was like, for a few years you couldn't get excited about live music because, as you say, even if you went, it wasn't the same experience. You were having a completely different experience when you were there, and trying to excite people back into that. Also, again, the narrative for X amount of time was like, if you go outside, you will die or someone else will die. Yeah. So then telling people to go outside, if you're not someone that easily lets your hair down, say something to go outside and just start doing that again, you can't get back into the same routine and regimes as all of it. And so it means that COVID happened, and then I can't speak as well as other people here can speak, but realistically, I can't imagine that you're going to have anything similar to how it was pre-COVID for the best part, maybe even a decade afterwards for some of these things.
Yeah, and that's what happened with this world, with the grassroots world, is it didn't feel like anything was going to get back to normal. And it kind of is now, and this is the positive bit about it. But just on that, about COVID, I remember live streaming. Like, thank fuck that died.
Oh yeah,
because
that was like the worst thing in the world.
I think I'm going to bring it back to PRS. PRS started doing big licenses for like live shows, which was just ridiculous. But the whole music industry was like, this is how it's all going to go. Live music's going to die. No one's going to want to watch music in a shitty venue anymore. Fucking hell. I watched Raging Speedhorn at the Underworld. It cost 30 quid, I think, and it was live streamed, obviously, because you couldn't go out. Raging Speedhorn are not a band to watch with no one in the audience. It was absolutely heartbreaking. And I know those boys really well. And it was so sad, because obviously they were doing and giving everything that they possibly could give, and what they would do normally with like people tearing sheets from them, and then jumping into all this. There was fuck all in the room. And obviously the Underworld as well. It was like, to see the Underworld empty, it was just
horrific. The one that no one really talks about, I don't know if anyone remembers this, was when Ozzy Osbourne did an entire festival online. It was like animated. It was like, it would look like
horrific.
It's sort of Windows 95 kind of animated festival. Very peculiar.
Yeah, not good.
But at the time, this was as good as it got.
On that note, I saw a band recently, and I won't tangent along here, a band called Necro Pisser from America, and they're all kids, right?
Acoustic pop, is that?
Yeah. Sort of like,
speaking of Coldplay.
Yeah, exactly. And they have one song called Castrated with a Shotgun, right? They are all too
the ballads, right?
Yeah, it's a love song, yeah. And they are too young to play in venues. So they did a gig in Roblox, in the video game Roblox, and invited everyone to that and live streamed their songs while they did that. And what I thought was, that's so cool for 13-year-olds, and that's how I feel about COVID gigs. That's so cool for 13-year-olds. That's it. No more. I'm not 13. I don't want that. I don't want live music to not be live music, because you completely undermine the reason it's good, because the chemical benefits and all these sort of things you get from just being around humans and stuff, you can't replicate that through any other format than doing it. And I think that we don't want to murk that water. Like, let's keep it very clear that if this exact format of walking, driving, whatever to a place, being there and talking to people and then leaving, that has to happen. Those elements need to be there. If they don't, it all goes. That's the fundamental bit.
That's really important as well. A lot of grassroots music venues now, they're not just like places that you go to that have music on. They're like proper community spaces. We've got loads of venues that are members of ours where you go in and it's not just a pub. I'm not going to say just a pub. This isn't just a pub, is it? But this is a really good example of one of those places. You've got a load of people that come here that know everyone here. Like, they meet some of their best friends here. You've got people that met their partners, all that sort of good stuff. But you get places that do like cookery classes, feeding the homeless, like all this mad stuff.
Stitch a bitch.
Yeah. you joke though, but there's members of ours that do that. There's one in Brighton that does, every Thursday, loads of old dears come down and do knitting. It's wicked.
We're doing it this week.
Oh, you are doing it? Yeah. But stuff like that, and it's really, really important.
I've got a season ticket at Chelmsford City, and I can buy Chelmsford City themed beer. And I'll be because I was 12 years old and we're still shit, but I'll still keep coming and buying the beer because it's my city.
But yeah, that's been one of the, I guess, the good things come out of the negatives that, like, I don't even know how that's happened. It probably happened before, but a lot of places have had to like just become so much more in order to make ends meet. But also, I guess, COVID probably was a big part of it. But just trying to find their way and keep going, it's just become these real important places to local community.
But I think ultimately that all adds up to a positive, doesn't it? Because it's about community then. It just becomes about community. It's not just one thing or another. It's a mixture of stuff that brings people together. And that's
local scene, isn't it?
That's it. That's what these spaces have always been. And I think we, obviously, for obvious reasons, we lost that during COVID. And it's kind of been finding its feet again in the years since then. And kind of here we are now talking about it. And I think the reason we wanted to have this conversation is because individually talking to the pair of you, you've both been on the podcast and you've given a lot to this subject, but in amongst that there was so much light on the horizon, and I think that's really what we wanted to shine a spotlight on. And in terms of kind of with Dead Species, just going out there and putting your money where your mouth is and putting on shows and just creating a scene, and the Music Venues Trust, investing all that money that you're raising and just making it a viable option for bands to be out there playing.
The local scene is where it all starts, isn't it? I mean, who here's been to metal shows in this venue? Here's at least a couple of them. And I've been living in Chelmsford for nearly 3 years now, and I've always wanted to do this kind of thing, put on shows, but never been able to find the right place. And my wife actually discovered this place because I think you were having metal nights on Friday nights, and she highlighted it and came in here, had a chat with Dan and Ryan.
She complained about the noise.
From Gallywood. But it just, when you find a venue with the right vibe, you know, and every show that we've put on here has been nothing but an absolute fucking stonker, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's just recognising those springs when they appear, and celebrating that and jumping on that and just reminding ourselves why we do it, and why we've always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I guess that links back to that community piece. Like, people know what to expect from coming in. Like, I imagine you've got a load of people that come here that it doesn't really matter what's on. Like, they know that from coming to previous gigs that they're going to see something that they're going to fucking enjoy, regardless. We're like that with Black Heart. Like, Black Heart in Camden is like what we call HQ, because it's like literally like. I was involved in Desert Fest for many years, like when it started, and like getting that off and running, like used to stage manage there. But like literally, like you've just got so many people that just pop in, and they're just there because it's the Black Heart. But yeah, that helps to get a community of people that then will obviously come to shows, and then that when you get bands coming in, they know that they're going to come and play to like a full house every time, despite normally playing to 5 people.
But the thing is, in a tight space like this, whether there's 100 people in here, which I'm pretty sure we've been there or thereabouts,
That's never happened.
Minus 20 there or thereabouts, or whether there's 25 people in here.
If you need to join every team, mate, we can help you.
You just know you're always going to get a great night, and that is fundamentally what matters. You go to a gig. You pay your tenner on the door, whatever it is, you have a great night. You go to a stadium show, you're getting all the pyros, all the production, all that kind of thing. We all love that, but nothing beats a proper fucking sweaty, grubby little show, does it?
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't beat it. Can't beat it.
And I think it goes back actually to that point you made about the average price of a grassroots venue has remained the same, or more or less, for such a long time. It's accessible.
Yeah,
£11 for the night of your life.
It's accessible,
and that's really important. You say like, oh, there's not enough money. People say, oh, I haven't got enough money to buy merch or whatever. And like, if they didn't spend, how much did you spend for Coldplay?
What,
What, a ticket or a shirt?
One ticket.
Both.
I know how much the
Both.
shirts were. Yeah.
Ticket was
Over-
£2.
Over 100 quid, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
200 quid. But I was
Yeah.
quite sad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's not talk about the price then. But well, that's it. So, like, people spend between 100 to, I think some of the Harry Styles tickets are on the Wembley Stadium are like 400 or 500 quid.
The Oasis ones, I don't know if anyone
Yeah.
tried to get Oasis tickets, but you probably didn't. Like,
Well, yeah.
it's just not even worth trying all the time.
How many £11.56s can you fit into, 400 quid? That's the problem, is, there's a real big issue with those large scale shows that just take money out of the pocket of grassroots music venues. So people say they haven't got enough money, or they would, if they hadn't spent. No offence, I'm not just picking on you.
It's not just
It's not just Coldplay. We've all been to those big, stadium arenas.
It's not just the ticket price either, is it? It's the £9 for a pint of fucking carving.
Well,
The Golden Circle.
Fuck the Golden Circle as well. That's another thing. Anything that they can find to fleece a few more quid off you, that's what they do. And you're never going to get that grassroots. Every penny, like we said, the shows we do, every penny goes into the band. We don't make profit of it. That's not what it's all about. Bar takings for this place, important, and money to make these guys function, basically, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Petrol, yeah.
And then we all win.
Esso really
You don't need
loves to
petrol,
see
you
me
live in
coming.
fucking Chelmsford.
Yeah, today I'm alright. Yeah, today I'm alright.
I think it's worth just bringing in at this point, kind of as we start to talk about, ways we can contribute, and you've all got these flyers on your chairs, and I just wondered if it was worth just mentioning that.
Well, yeah, I will.
Yeah.
But just quickly on that point, I think it's really, like, obviously you guys are here because you're interested in how stuff works. But I think it is really important to sort of pay attention and just to get involved and ask questions when you're at gigs and stuff. Because even that basic idea of like where the money goes, yes, most of the money or the only real money that the venue makes is from beer, unless of course they're doing a venue hire, which in most of the cases people aren't charged very much for venue hire because they'll lose business somewhere else. Then obviously the ticket money, that's going to the promoter. In theory, that should be going to the bands, which is why more often than not it's not going to the bands. You're getting paid minimal, maybe not because ticket sales are bad, which is why then merch is so important to the band. So just understand, and don't want to be like condescending or whatever, but just understanding what each of the pots of money and where they go to is just really useful for when you go to gigs. And then if you have got a little bit of money, you can go, it's looking a bit quiet, so I'll buy an extra pint, or or I'll get a patch or whatever because I can afford it, and just helping out everything. And then also, just to answer your question,
Well, I was going to say, I was trying to draw the attention.
yeah, you're all of
that
on a
direction.
flyer. But we have like most charities, we have like a supporter circle where you can join and give £5 a month or £10 a month, and then that goes into us helping to protect and secure and improve venues for the future. So what you've got in your seats, if you want to scan a little QR code and give money to MVT, that's always a good thing as well, because we'll help.
Absolutely, mate. It's all a contribution.
Helps keeps going, doesn't it?
That's what we want.
We'll finish this off just by celebrating Essex a little bit. I think that's what we need to do. Yourself, you put on shows. Colchester, here is growing rapidly. Southend as well, obviously. We have Bay Days Festival this summer, if anybody's coming along to that. We want to build this scene in this area. Essex has got such a strong history with heavy music, like the Essex hardcore scene goes back to the 90s, doesn't it?
There's some really cool bands. There's a band called Split Knuckle who are from Essex, and they did a tour in, I think it was in the UK. They toured with Torture, and they played with them in America as well. And that was a band that I saw people that were in huge bands talking about, that were on a lineup with a band that are from Essex. And I liked seeing that because there was no conversation about this is a band from Essex, but I knew that, and I knew that because I gave a shit that they were from Essex. And if more people gave a shit that they were from Essex, and they were like, that's really cool, more people would go to their shows and it would benefit. And it's a valid reason. You can't, everyone has a local scene whether you want your scene or not. And I've mentioned this before, I think, to everyone independently and together. But when I grew up, I missed out on Asylum in Chelmsford, for those of you that remember Asylum. And then I went to uni, and then came back from uni and started working in London, and then Radio City appeared. And I always have said that I would have loved to have had this when I was younger. I would have absolutely loved to have a place that I could walk to.
You're still young. What fucking talking about?
Valid and fair. Yeah, valid and fair. What I would say though is in that period of time, I had a lot of train journeys. My mum and dad are here. A lot of asking mum and dad.
Mum and dad.
Asking mum and dad to pick me up from places that I was watching gigs, all these sort of things.
Are they picking you up tonight?
They are, yeah. I mean, yeah. They live time. It is past my bedtime. I'm getting in big trouble for that. But the kind of atmosphere of like there being a place accessible is really important about there being a place physically local. And if you're from an area like I like the local football club. I'm out around in Chelmsford a lot. You're in a place a lot, make the most of that place, because if you put a little bit in, you get so much back. Yeah. I mean, I could not create this environment in a decade if I tried to, but if I walk half an hour from my house, someone's made it for me, and it costs me whatever a beer is to use it. And that's in a world where we're all increasingly suffering from lack of money, lack of options, lack of engagement with the stuff that we love and enjoy. Really look at things and be like, that is where the answer is. Like, it is there. I mean, I started this by saying, the venues don't exist, and what I think you picked up really well is the infrastructure that requires the flourishing of the venues is such a battle, and that doesn't exist naturally yet, but all the elements are there. It requires action to bring it together, and it's sort of like we have the pieces, build the Lego set a little bit to bring Lego into it, but build the Lego set, because the pieces are there. Eventually you're going to lose the pieces under the sofa and you're never going to get them back again. Until you move out and your parents sell them or something.
Oh, that's deep.
I think
I've still got mine.
That's the mic drop.
I'm kind of putting it back on around the
To bring it really back to basics, we like to say just use it or lose it, innit? Like just, it's so important.
I think that's it. I think that's the message. I think that's what we wanted to say with this episode and this conversation. It is just, it's out there and it's so cool and it's fun, but it is a case of like use it or lose it. So let's use it.
Fucking right. And yeah. Yeah, look, thanks to everybody for coming. Make sure you're here on the 28th of March for our 4th birthday party, Wolf Bastard, and so on and so forth. You can come along to that. And hopefully we'll see loads of you at Bay Days as well.
Oh yeah!
You'll see me because we're in the theatre, aren't we?
Yeah,
so you're going to be there. I'll remember every face in here and I hold a grudge.
There's a final lineup announcement going out on Thursday, headline, everything's all in there. So, Wednesday, 6 p.m.
And just thanks to everyone here just for coming down and checking it out and just participating in the podcast festival. Do check out In the Abyss. We like to mix it up. There's all sorts of variety there, but ultimately it's just heavy fun. So let's keep that rolling. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Stay metal.
Stay metal.
Ladies and gentlemen, In the Abyss! We're going to have a short break now, and we're back with the drum social. We have Enzo Shikori. If anyone wants to get really uncomfortably close to the guest, this bench is brilliant down there. Did you enjoy that, Jasper?
Yeah, I can smell you and you can smell me.
Yeah, beautiful. So, remember, this is a small independent venue as well, so go and buy some beer, help Dan out. You got a big bill today. They also got merch as well. You got Bay Days merch, you got Radio City merch. So go and buy a beer and come back in a minute for the next podcast. Thank you.
Great. Cheers. Just quickly, tonight is dedicated to my wife. Who's excellent. Yeah, that too. Tonight is dedicated to my wife who's currently in hospital. She would like to be in here tonight. It's gonna fucking kill me if I carry on with it. She was hit by a car last week. But just thank everyone for coming because she would have been here. We'll have the video for this so I can share it with her, but it's massively important to me that she knows that. Thank you.